It's Monday, November 11th, Veterans Day. You motherfuckers, whether you're for a war or against a war, support the fucking troops, man. There's people that bled and died for your freedom to do whatever the fuck you want, and that's what we're doing. So, salute to the troops on Veterans Day. Salute to my uncle, who was a door gunner in Vietnam. Salute to my best friend, who's in the Air Force. Just fucking rock on, man. Get it. I love it. Not a military type myself, but, you know, I always support the troops. Anyway, it's fucking Monday. You got to start fresh. It's a new week. It's a new you. It's time to get out the fucking notebook and review what the fuck you did or did not do the week before. Take that bitch out. I'll wait. Got it? Cool. Good. Good. What'd you do? What'd you do? Seriously. What'd you do? Cross that shit out. Write down new stuff. If you didn't get to the thing that you got before, that's okay. It's a fresh slate now. It's a whole new week and it's a whole new you, and that's what we're all about. We're all about keep driving forward and keep moving forward and just never quit and keep doing what you're doing. Do what makes you feel happy. Whether it's woodwork or art or comedy or acting or writing or musicianship or being a teacher or, you know, owning a business, whatever the fuck, you know, you got to keep it going, and it's all about you. You know, no one's stopping you but you. So that being said, I've been hitting the pavement pretty hard. I booked since the last podcast, I booked a short notice gig at Flappers, and it was really nice. It was about 2 weeks, 2 days. I got the booking notification 2 days before the show. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta promote this now. I gotta let my friends know. And all I could do is like send messages out in a short period of time. And I got 3 people to show up. That was most of the audience anyway. But hey, look, you know, I'm doing it, and there's always gonna be another show. Because listen, I don't know if you've seen my logo yet, but I'm addicted to comedy. I mainline comedy. I snort punchlines. I take notes. I watch other comedians. I go to shows, and I study, and I learn. You know, you got to learn by going. And you got to suck at it until you don't suck so much at it anymore. And always try to chop up a little bit of game and network a little bit and talk to other comics and just know, like, you know, other people's process and things like that. I just came back from a really fun show that I wasn't performing in. But, you know, I can't even get people to go to my own shows. I can't even bring friends with me to a show that I'm not in. It was a really sick show. It's called Shreddin' Sundays. They do it every once a month. It's like usually on a Sunday. It started at Flappers, and now it was at the Good Night, and it was such a good show, in my opinion. You know, it might be my biased opinion because the show is literally my 2 favorite things: comedy and metal music, and it's my favorite thing, man. It's my favorite fucking thing. And shout out to Lou Santini. Shout out to Christina Marie Leonard for making that show happen. It's such a cool fucking thing, man. And I'll support that all the way through until the wheels fucking fall off, you know? It's literally, I love that idea so much. Here's why. Comedy and metal is kind of a niche thing, but it's a thing, you know? Tenacious D does it. Beavis and Butthead was kind of like that in the 90s. There was that metal show on VH1. Like, you know, here and there you get these you get heavy metal popping up in culture. You know, it's not always like in the fucking shadows and shit. There's comedians that love heavy metal. You know, couple examples like Jim Brewer or Jim Florentine, you know, but those are like big guys, you know, but there's a lot of comics that love this shit and love rapping about it and love making fun of stuff, you know? Fucking stand-up comedy. Yeah, I mean, it's so much fun because the last thing, it really inspired me to like do my own thing. And I'm like a rock and roll guy. You know, I'm fucking angry and edgy somewhat. I'm really just a teddy bear, but I wear like black clothes all the time, you know. And that's me, you know, that's my flavor. So, you know, people like your Dice Clays and your Sam Kinnisons. They got that edgy look, and these guys love rock and roll. You can tell just by looking at them, just by the dress code. You know, there was this show called Metalocalypse that was on Adult Swim in like the mid 2000s, and I just rewatched a couple of episodes of it, and it was because it just got me thinking, like, man, when was the last time something like that was like, you know, popular, had somewhat of a following, and it's been gone for like almost close to 10 years. We're getting close to 10 years, and it's like I feel responsible to make the next heavy metal themed comedy show or cartoon or whatever the fuck it is. I don't, you know, it doesn't even matter. Just as long as it's metal and comedy smushed together in some kind of entertainment presentation, you know, I'll work with what I got. And right now, like I really wanted, I'm really like dedicated and helping this show like become the mighty oak that I know it can. Because it's seriously like it's just so fucking cool to me. And it's totally up my alley. And, you know, I want to support other artists. A lot of my friends are other artists. I want to support their shit. I barely know these guys, but like they're doing something that is literally my two favorite fucking things. And I'm a moth to a flame to it. Like I can't help it. Because I love that shit so much, man. It's just, it's made me work on my own act and, you know, myself as a person, and you know who's me on stage versus me in life. You know, I need to make it like more of a show, because I'm up on stage trying to be a real person. Like just fuck it, man. I just put on the suit and dance, monkey. I got a lot of really good help from a friend of mine who's a creative type person, and he's helping me with my writing. Because a lot of the times in stand up is that it seems so off the cuff, but I need to have like an act. I've got material, I've got stuff. It's just not pieced as well as I thought. I've got a lot of like short 5-minute sets, and often I can combine the two into 10, into 15, maybe into 20 if I really stretch it. But how much of it is good? If I have 20 minutes of good material, like about half of it's gonna land. I don't know. I'm thinking too much. Thinking way too much. But anyway, I'm getting a nice helping hand from a good friend of mine, and you know I'm getting a little bit of support just by following it. You know, and it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun to dice up something, to see an outside perspective of what I put up on there and what I want to do up there, and what and who am I? You know, a lot of existential questions. It's fun. It's nice. I like this process. I really do. I just I came home from this really fun show just now, and I just fired up the laptop, fired up the gear, fired up the microphone, and just rap about this show. And you know, I'm trying to like drag my friends with me. Saw some really like killer comics, killers, and you know they've got their shit down. It's like, wow, if I want to be good in this type of room, you know, I gotta try and match these guys. You know, these guys are fucking killers, and it's made me want to work harder on my own material and see if I can get like, you know, good laughs and stuff like that. And there's a lot of like mentoring from a couple of other who I consider my friends, really, you know. And I love the fact that my patrons over at patreon.com/JakingOffShow are donating, you know, a dime and a nickel every now and then. You know, you could go as little as $1 a month if you have to, if you want to holler for $1, because I definitely don't want to operate in my room forever. I want like office space, so I can have like a professional environment with a guest and all that stuff. So I don't have to like, they don't have to come into my chambers, my quarters. It's complicated. Long story. Anyhow, what was I saying? I just had to come home right away and do this, and it just makes me happy. It makes me happy to openly record my thoughts, shows or open mics, and just review stuff. Oh, by the way, speaking of shows, I looked at the tape from my Halloween show. I looked at it, and it's exactly what it was. It was like the first 2 minutes was solid, then I started getting affected by the crowd noise, and I tapered off into like a different tangent because I'm trying to like win the room and shit, which I think I did last night because I did notice like there were non attendees. They were just people at the bar that just walked up to me. He was like, "Hey man, you were really funny." I'm like, "Okay, that's how I know I won that night." I said that on the last podcast, but that's how I know I won. Wasn't perfect. It's not the life-changing set, but I won. And there was the Flapper show, small crowd, but I did my thing. I tried out some new stuff, a couple of swings and misses, but again, that's why we keep the sword sharp. You gotta fix out the dents and the buffs and all that stuff. That's what this thing is, man. You're always adjusting. You're always adjusting your material. It's fun, man. It's never really the same show twice, but I want to have like a solid act where it kind of is the same show twice, just so I have some killer shit, especially if I'm around new cats or whatever the hell, you know. I did an open mic prior to I'm lying to you. I did an open mic last week to prepare for the Flappers show. It was a fucking Tuesday night at a spot, and it was just like a final dress rehearsal. But what happened was that set was so completely different from the other one. Like, I walked in with a plan, and that plan went right out the window. That happens way too often, and I feel like I'm selling myself short. Like, I'm not trusting the material, I had a long talk with my supportive friend on a lot of personal stuff that I'm not entirely comfortable talking about. But it's who I am. It's my genetic makeup. It's me. We draw material from life, So, and I've just been in the dark in it for so long. I was diagnosed with autism, probably when I was a toddler. I honestly I don't remember it, but it's just something that I went to years of therapy for. I couldn't make eye contact with anyone. I was just in my own little world. I didn't pay attention to anybody or anything. Socially awkward. Didn't pick up social cues really well. I still find that a little challenging. And my friend told me that there's this thing called flooding. Flooding is it's like having too many tabs open at once, and you don't know where the music's coming from, or a sensory overload. That's something that people on the spectrum would experience as sensory overload, or just too many thoughts coming in at once. My brain is too open and taking in too much information. And I've been completely ignorant in what it is up until recently, because I was doing a little research on it to develop more jokes on it. And the new material that I tried at Flappers, I associated my thing with severely mentally challenged fictional characters like Forrest Gump and Lenny from Of Mice and Men. And I threw a political hack fucking Donald Trump joke out there just to fucking try it. And you know what? Those jokes are going to expire. That guy's going to be out soon. There's no point in keeping it. Plus, there's no escape from it. But I tried new shit and it didn't form right. My plan kind of went out the window, and I stopped talking about myself. It's easier to remember what you're doing when you're just making fun of yourself. And those are your jokes that cater to who you are. and they're easy to remember when it's personal. But the thing is, the personal stuff in my life is painful, and it's difficult to go there. And it's especially difficult to even talk about autism in the slightest, because only my family really knows about it. It's not, because I always thought, people tell me I'm weird. They tell me I'm weird. I'm a weird guy. Or that I'm an oddball or whatever, but I'm funny and I'm entertaining. But people, like, I fear that people will just view me differently. And I stopped giving a fuck about that. And talking about it isn't comfortable because it's not something I really discussed. It's just, I just kind of shoved it in the back of my mind and didn't figure out anything I could do to curb it in any way, shape, or form. When I was a little kid, I would just make shit up. I would just make shit up for attention. And I think I did it just to fucking see what would happen, because and I was really like violent when I didn't get my way, and I was a rotten kid, really rotten kid. I don't know how my mom put up with me and my brother. Well, we were both pretty wild, but it was just, I don't know how she did it, man. I see this kind of shit every day at work. I see wild kids on leashes and like kids that are just putting their hands in places they shouldn't, it's just, how the fuck can anyone want to be a parent? It's enraging. Why? Just why? There's got to be another way here. Maybe little kids just shouldn't be at restaurants. I don't know. I see that shit all the time, and it drives me fucking nuts. But luckily, I feel bad for the parents. I really do. Because they go to me, how do you deal with this? And I'm like, fuck, how do you? You live with the fucking thing. God, they're rotten. We should open up a Casey Anthony daycare center. Pot helps. It does. A lot of this stuff has like CBD in it. I'm doing like CBD stuff too, and it's really helping me out with anxiety, and it's really helping me gather my thoughts in a way without with the flow not being a flood, if you know what I'm saying. The flow of information, like my thoughts race. Here's another example of flooding. My thoughts just, they race and race and race, and that's when I should take out the notebook and just free write and just get it all out of my head and mentally exhaust myself. But I would sit on the edge of my bed and just do nothing for an hour. I wouldn't even be stoned. I'd be sober as fuck, clean as a whistle. I'd get up out of bed and I would just sit at the edge of my bed. I would just fucking sit there, and like, I'm awake and shit like that. I could go get up and if I so chose, I could get up and do stuff. But I'm just stuck in thought. I don't know if anyone else ever experiences that, where there's just, not out of boredom, not that there's nothing to do. There's stuff to do. I've got fucking video games and bullshit and television and house chores and writing and just stuff. But I would just sit for an hour and literally I wouldn't do anything. I would just sit frozen, lost in thought, not meditating either. That's different. That's focus on breathing and whatever. But I'm just, thoughts are racing through my head and I give myself a headache and I just get stressed out over nothing. I just have like a rush and yet I don't move. I can't explain it. But it doesn't seem good, and I've wasted a lot of time just doing that. I've wasted years of my life just thinking. When is something going to pop up? I'm going to come up with something that's going to drive me to do anything. And around 11 months ago, I decided to do this again after shelving it for 10 years. And it's just giving me drive to do something. One would call it a hobby. One would call it a hobby, and I'm obsessed with it. And, if you want, and it's a business too. Like it's a community. It's a lifestyle. It's all this other shit. Um, I mingled with a couple of comics today that do it for a living, and like that's cool. That's great. I don't care where I'm at financially. I came home happy as a fucking dog just to come in and turn on my shit and just rant for 20, 30 minutes or whatever. I was just excited to do it. And it's my thing. I was talking a little bit with a comic about how we all have. He's like, I have a podcast. Everyone's fucking laughing because everybody's got a podcast. You know, it's another thing that's like oversaturated. Every comic has a podcast. Every person that has any sort of hobby or interest probably has a podcast about it. You know, and it's just this free form of expression that nobody listens to. I am willing to bet. I'm laying this down. Leave a leave me a message or a comment or a fucking anything, any feedback or whatever. I will Venmo you $10. Let's see how many messages I get. Now there's money in it for you. I'll Venmo you $10, bro. I'll Venmo you $10, sis. Friend. Mom. Luke. Hunter. Greg. Whoever the fuck. I'm just naming people off the top of my head. The people that I've recently just been in contact with. Just, you know, send me some feedback. I will Venmo you $10. And if I don't follow through, I don't know what the fucking consequences are. I haven't come up with them yet, but I will. Because I kind of need to find out what people think. You know, I've shown some people my logo and all that, and I'm doing this, but I am, you know, I want to get some outside perspective on this. You know, what do you think I should do? Should I do some kind of game? Should I do you know, should I read news articles? Or, you know, because you know, I know what this is, and I know what I'm doing just for the sake of doing it. But this podcast is about getting other people's shit out. You know, call it promotion or whatever. So the fantasy in my head right now is that every single episode I talk to a guest, with maybe one being like a shorter, like, solo one about like a show that I watched or experienced or performed in or whatever. You know, those will rarely come up. But the fantasy in my head is someone who is creative talks with me about what makes them tick, why they do their craft, and plug it to my listeners. That would be you. And if you like what you heard, you know, there's their social media handle, whatever. Because, you know, promoting shows that's just like, hey, look at me, look, I'm doing a thing. Look at the thing I'm doing. Oh, this Saturday night, it's $10. You should come over. I'm doing a thing. And then I'm doing another thing next week, and it's that same exact thing, and it's that same exact place. Come watch me. You know, it's annoying. It's annoying. God. I annoy myself with it. I really do. It's all I ever like post, really. It's getting like, and I'm also kind of doing it out of spite. Kind of burned a bridge. I kind of burned a bridge with the booker. I feel I kind of told him what I thought, and just, you know. Some bridges you burn will light the way. Some don't lead anywhere. You pick and choose your battles. And I'm kind of seething through the bullshit, you know. I'm not knocking, like, you know, we're not naming names. We're not doing any of that. But I burned a bridge, and it's like, man, lost a spot. Or I've personally boycotted a place that I don't go to because I didn't enjoy the experience. Or have a single good experience at that venue, at that particular place, at that particular time. I've boycotted spots from like, you know what? I'm not going to go to that spot anymore the host sucks, or somebody had a beef, or whatever. God, that happened once. Jesus Christ. It was at an open mic, and the guy that went up before me uh was like this shaggy like looking guy, like straight up like the guy looked like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Very tall, very lanky, had that haircut, had like a little bit of a slouch. Like this guy was Shaggy. And I riffed on him for like a minute in the at the open mic. Like that's how I opened. I just riffed on this guy. And like it's jokes, man. It's jokes. Chill the fuck out. This is a place where words cannot hurt us. I'm just fucking with you, man. Like you're good. But the guy didn't take it well, and he wanted to fight me. I squashed it by just simply walking away from the dude. But he remembered he remembered one of my jokes, and he repeated it back to me. And I just kept on walking, like, because I saw the way this guy was standing, I saw the way he was looking at me, and I just like scanned him up and down real quick. I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna engage. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. If you're gonna get your feelings hurt, there's a little yellow bus waiting outside for you. Another thing that's bothering me, this okay boomer shit. What the fuck is that? What the fuck is this okay boomer shit? How is that an insult? How is that ageism? Aren't you the generation that told us to stop being pussies? Shut the fuck up. Like, a baby boomer. That's what your thing is. That's what you've always been called, and now it's been being used in a condescending way or whatever. Now your feelings are hurt. Well, if it's in a condescending way and you feel like, a type of way, but to just be like insulted by words, by a phrase, by a nickname, that's not really like racist or anything. They're like, oh, it's ageist, you're making fun of older people. I'm like, yeah, that's what you did too, didn't you? Every generation was like, oh, my parents were old school, like they kept with tradition or whatever. Like my mom's a hippie, and her parents were like pre-World War II, like staunch, stoic 1930s people, whatever the fuck. And before that, it was just a different vibe, The older generation and the new generation are never gonna fucking get along because they're into different shit. Their technology has changed. It's never gonna fucking work out. We're always gonna argue. There will never be peace. There is no such thing as peace in the generational war of mankind. God, it's getting crazy. It's getting out of control. It's just, can't we all just fucking smoke a joint and get along? Like, why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just get along? For real. Woo! Delayed reaction. All right, I'm done with that. I don't understand it. Maybe it's because of how I came up in that, and I don't always follow it, but it's very important to be kind to other people and help somebody out. I've always liked to be that way, but I walk around with a chip on my shoulder, like wearing dark clothes, pretending to be fucking tough or whatever. I'm a fucking teddy bear, dude. I'm really a teddy bear in real life, or a scared puppy that gets really nervous around women and people in general and crowds, and I take things personally, and I overthink, and I don't like going out, and I have colitis, and I'm nervous. I'm just nervous all the time, and it's, I feel like I come off as like this annoying little ratty person, but I try to be. I want people to perceive me as something that I would look up to. Like I want to be able to look up to myself, but these reflections that I have humble me up and go, you know what, man, you're flawed here. Let's work on that. Try not to be so abrasive next time, or don't snap at that lady, or don't lose your cool. Don't try to be somebody you're not. Just do you. I was this fucking malleable, moldy fucking guy in college, just trying all this fucking like, oh, I'm into this, and I'm also into this. Oh, fuck that. Like my likes and dislikes became fickle. And it was just really like a fake bullshit thing, just like trying to get into social circles and all like that, right? Because I didn't like me, you know. I didn't like me. I hate me, you know. So therefore, people that are like me, I fucking hate them. If you're too much like me, the fact that we would even get along, there can only be one of us. I'll end up cutting you out of my life. I'll get to, ugh. I'll just fucking leave. I'll just fucking dip, or I'll change my tude, or whatever. But I try not to worry about that. That's another thing on the autism, is that I worry too much. Just about. I worry way too much about anything. Like, there's just too many thoughts coming in at once, and people see that I'm like nervous, or I don't engage. I don't really look you in the eye for too long. It takes too much of my energy. It drains me. It costs a lot of fibers in my body just to look someone in the eye and tell them how I feel. Whatever that feeling is, it takes every fiber of my body, and it exhausts me, and my social battery runs out very quickly. I don't really like sticking around very long. Even before the colitis, I was just like, I don't want to be here. Let's go somewhere else. I have a dog to pet, or I have a video game to play, or I have a bed to sleep on. Bed is nice. Bed is better than people. But I get like that, I locked eyes with and I'm gonna remember this for the rest of my life. I really am, because before I left, I talked to both of the producers separately and just looked them square in the face, and I'm like, hey, look, I got to get something out of the gate here. What you guys are doing is a fucking awesome thing, and I support it wholeheartedly, and I will support this show in any way I can, because, dude, you hit a button with me. I'm sold. I bought what you're selling. Now, if I could do the same for my own shows, that'd be nice. But like, you got me, man. You guys got me. You guys got me good. I'm like, Shredding Sundays, which I'm so fucking happy it exists. Yeah, Shredding Sundays at the Good Night. I don't know. Hopefully it's at the Good Night. I'll get more details, but I know it's going to continue. I've fully have the support of this little project, and it's not even like I bumped into it one day and it was like, oh, that's nice. That's actually really awesome. I checked it out and I watched the first show and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely something that can be like the coolest fucking thing ever. I already have like ideas in my head for the potential of what it can be like a live band playing off the comedians as they come and go off on and off the stage. Like, that would be amazing. But you need like a bigger venue to have the space for a live band and a comedian doing their thing, like getting played off like a band. God, and you'd have to pay the band. Why? A lot of people do these things for free, just put the shows together and like pass out cards and shit. But I used to be in the scene long time ago, and there's a bunch of guys that I've met while in the LA metal scene that were in bands, or that are in bands now, that are doing stuff and things. And until this idea moves off the blueprint, I would, if I could somehow produce my own show, if I can't get stage time, make stage time, right? I don't really have an avenue for that, but it would be cool to have like a metal comedy show, which what I witnessed, which was bestowed upon me with great joy. is to have like a live band. That would just be fucking sick, you know? It would just be fucking cool. It'd be loud guitars and drums and shit. And if the drummer fights, it can fight the budums as best he can. That would be fucking awesome too. You know, like a fucking live show with a theme that people are into. People like metal, man. There's an audience for that. There's a market for it. It comes and goes in and out of mainstream relevance, but you know, like I said before at the top, you know, Metalocalypse was like the last thing that I've seen on television or in like, you know, media at all. You know, there's like, where is that? I feel like I need to make that. I need to make that. Whether it's a live comedy show or I've been told, because I used to fuck around with like drawing freehand and all that. I'm not good at it anymore. The habit kind of died early on. Another story. But someone told me once that I should make a cartoon and voice it myself. And I'm like, you know, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. But like, I don't know. Well, you know, my heart's not in it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, whatever. But I want to do what I want to do right now, and that's just, you know, get on stage, make people laugh, keep the sword sharp, work on the stuff. Always in class, ladies and gentlemen. Always in class. I'm studying like a motherfucker. I'm like those fucking Japanese kids that take fucking school on Saturdays. Jesus Christ. Saturday school? You gotta be fucking kidding me. They do that shit. I fuck with anime. I know what's going on. Anyway, that's it and that's that. I just wanted to rap for a little bit and just vent out my frustrations, my openness on me trying to open up with the fucking autism thing and trying to draw material out of it and try to talk about it more, and as well as like, you know, doubting myself and things like that. But you know, I'm just trying to grow as a person. Whatever. This is a journal or a therapy session. I tried to be motivated at the top, but you know, I'm just trying to like keep myself fired up and just stay sharp, man. And just don't stop what you're doing. Ever. You know, you gotta love doing it. Fuck anything for the money. That's just a regular job, whatever. You know. But I love doing this and never gonna fucking stop. All right, that's it, and that's that. We jaked off. Have a good night, folks.